Moor's murders case, a chilling tale of horror. Welcome to today's video, where we will delve into one of the most notorious and disturbing criminal cases in British history, the Moor's murders. This case involves two sadistic killers, Brady and Myra Hindley, who lured and murdered young children in the 1960s. This is a chilling tale of manipulation, violence, and deceit. Let's begin with a timeline of events, evidence, and the trial that ultimately brought them to justice. Brady and Myra Hindley, a couple who seemed ordinary at first glance, were responsible for the deaths of 5 children. Pauline Reed, John Kilbride, Keith Bennett, Leslie Ann Downey, and Edward Evans. These heinous murders involved abduction, torture, and sexual assault, all of which took place on the remote and desolate Saddleworth Moor. The first murder, Pauline Reed, 1963. The first victim of Brady and Hindley was 16-year-old Pauline Reed. On July 12, 1963, Pauline was walking to a dance when she was offered a ride by Hindley and Brady. They lured her into their car under the pretense of taking her to the dance, but instead, they took her to the moors where she was murdered. Pauline was sexually assaulted, and her body was buried on the moors. Her remains were not discovered until 1987. John Kilbride, 1963. Just a few months after Pauline's murder, on November 23, 1963, 12-year-old John Kilbride was abducted. He was walking to a market when Hindley and Brady approached him. They again offered him a ride, and once he was in their car, they drove him to the moors. John was sexually assaulted, strangled, and buried. His body remained hidden for several years until it was found in 1965. Keith Bennett, 12 years old, was the third victim of the couple. He was abducted on June 16, 1964, after leaving his home in Longsight, Manchester. Keith's disappearance was particularly heartbreaking, as his body was never found. His case remained open for years, with his family desperate for answers. To this day, his body has not been located, despite extensive searches. The fourth murder, Leslie Ann Downey, 1965. Leslie Ann Downey, 10 years old, was the fourth victim. Was raped, tortured, and eventually murdered. The most disturbing piece of evidence was a recording that Brady had made of Leslie's screams and pleas for help. This tape became one of the key pieces of evidence during the trial. The fifth murder, Edward Evans, 1965. Edward Evans, 17 years old, was the fifth and final victim of Brady and Hindley. On October 6, 1965, Edward was murdered in a more reckless manner than the previous victims. Brady and Hindley were caught in the act, thanks to a witness named David Smith, who was Brady's friend. The investigation and arrests. David Smith's testimony was crucial in leading the police to Brady and Hindley. Smith had been asked by Brady to help dispose of the body of Edward Evans, and when he arrived at Brady's house, he witnessed the murder. Smith immediately fled and contacted the police, providing the critical information that led to their arrests.
I'm in bed late in the evening. The bell rings. I get out of bed, and there's Hindley.
17-year-old David Smith was married to Myra Hindley's sister, Maureen. The couple lived near Myra and her boyfriend Brady in this block of flats on the Hattersley estate.
Maureen gets up, thinking there's an emergency. There isn't. Everything's fine. I've come round because Ian's got some wine bottles he wants to let you have. Would you walk me back home? Yeah, no problem. No problem. I'll walk her back home. I go in the house. She takes me into the kitchen. Wait here a minute. Then she goes into the living room. All of a sudden, there's screaming, there's swearing, there's banging around. She screams, Dave, Dave, help him. I go running into the living room and Brady's got this lad whacking him and hitting him with an axe. It's very violent. Very, very violent.
The victim was 17-year-old Edward Evans. Very little is known about him. Brady picked him up, a total stranger, at Manchester Central Station and lured him to the home he shared with Myra Hindley and her grandmother in the suburb of Hattersley.
The lad is on the floor. Brady's still hitting him. I think he'd received 14 blows. It was very bad. He then strangles him. He's swearing at him, he's cursing him, he's calling him filthy names. And then it's over. It stops. I was covered in blood. I went to the bathroom and I absolutely vomited. I then had to tell her what had happened. I'd just seen somebody killed. Now I'm scared. All I want to do is get to a police station. That's all I want to, but I don't move out of the flat. I wait probably 2-3 hours. We go round to the phone box. I ring 999 and put through to Hyde Police Station. I don't tell them over the phone what's happening. Pick me up. My name is David Smith. I'm at Hare Hill Road. Phone box. Pick me up, please. We get to the station. All I want to do is smoke. I said, I can't talk. I can't tell them yet. Your man sits on the edge of the desk. He waits. He knows there's a problem. He waits. In your own time. I say it's murder.
The days and weeks after the brutal murder of Edward Evans confirmed to Brady and Hindley that they were right not to rely on David Smith.
Among the photographs were pictures of the Moors, along with images of children, some of whom were believed to be the victims of Brady and Hindley. In addition, a tape recording of Leslie Ann Downey's last moments was found, along with photographs of the young girl. These gruesome pieces of evidence shocked the nation and solidified the couple's involvement in the murders. The police then conducted further searches on the Moors. They discovered the bodies of Pauline Reed, John Kilbride, and Leslie Ann Downey. However, the body of Keith Bennett remains missing to this day. The trial, Brady and Hindley were arrested in October 1965 and charged with the murders of Edward Evans, Leslie Ann Downey, and John Kilbride. The trial began in April 1966, and the couple faced intense public scrutiny. The trial was highly publicized, with the courtroom filled with spectators and media personnel. Brady and Hindley pled not guilty to the charges, but the evidence against them was overwhelming. During the trial, Brady admitted to the murders, but he tried to downplay Hindley's involvement. He claimed that Hindley had no part in the killings and was merely an accomplice. Hindley, on the other hand, denied any involvement in the murders and claimed that she was unaware of Brady's actions. One of the most shocking pieces of evidence presented during the trial was the tape recording of Leslie Ann Downey's final moments. The tape was played in court, and the voices of Brady and Hindley could be heard, further implicating them in the crime. After deliberating for 2 hours, the jury found Brady guilty of all 3 murders and Hindley guilty of 2 of the murders. Brady was sentenced to life imprisonment, while Hindley was also given a life sentence but was later given an additional 7 years for harboring Brady in the knowledge of his actions. Post-trial and aftermath. Brady and Hindley's trial became one of the most infamous in British history. They were both sentenced to life in prison, and their names became synonymous with evil and sadism. Brady remained unapologetic and insisted that he was justified in his actions. Hindley, on the other hand, claimed she was a victim of Brady's manipulation and was later denied parole multiple times. She spent 25 years in prison before dying of cancer in 2002. The Moor's murders remain a dark chapter in the history of criminal investigations.